Welcome to the 5th episode of the Hornet Hour podcast. I'm your host, Alex Berry. This month's episode will cover Career and Technical Education, also known as CTE Month. We will have several guests on this podcast to talk to us about the different CTE options. First up on the podcast is Bryant High School computer science teacher Brenda Qualls and Congressional App Challenge winner and class of 2023 president Sabian Murry. Thank you both for being with me today and taking time out of your busy day to do this.
Of course, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's start off real quick. Sabian, give me a 30-second elevator pitch about who you are.
Okay, great. I am graduating this year, class of 2023. I am the Bryant High School senior class president. I am a first-generation minority leadership council member. I am our chapter's FCCLA president. I am in NHS and a number of other activities.
Wow, you are busy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Miss Brenda, give me a 30-second elevator pitch about yourself.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a Bryant High School alumni,
Me too.
and I have taught computer science for 17 years. 11 of those were at Bryant High School. The classes I teach are Programming Year 1, Programming Year 2, which uses Python. Then I teach AP Computer Science Principles, and I also teach AP Computer Science A, which is a college course on Java programming.
Goodness, you teach a lot of programming languages.
Yes.
I love it. Sabian, what made you take computer science, and are you looking to do this in your future?
When I first signed up for the class, I didn't necessarily think that I was going to pursue a career in computer science. My dad actually works with computers and information systems, so he kind of encouraged me to take the class because he said that it'd be a good learning development for me. And I was like, well, I mean, I'll go ahead and take the class. It doesn't seem too difficult, which is don't listen to your father if he got a degree in it. But I do really like the class. It has encouraged me to learn a little bit more about it. I don't think that I'll major in it possibly, but it could help with my major. So
Awesome. What are you planning on doing?
I am planning to go into law. And so I do kind of want to get a taste of everything before I get into that.
It's good to have a well-versed background, especially if you're going to go into law. I mean, it really is. So what are some cool projects that you have worked on in class so far?
We do something every day in Ms. Qualls' class. There's never a day where we're not doing something. I have, as you mentioned earlier, I was the Congressional App Challenge winner for our District 2 here in Arkansas. So I did create an app on that. Right now we're learning a little bit about cybersecurity, and we've done a lot of programming in this class as well.
Cybersecurity is really good to have. I mean, especially with all the things we're facing right now. If you haven't heard, not that long ago, Little Rock School District got taken over by a
Yes.
cybersecurity attack, and I believe it's going to cost them $250,000 just to get all their stuff back.
That is actually called ransomware.
Yes. And I know our tech department is real leery about everything we do here, especially after that happened so close to us. So they've hyped up their security as well. Miss Brenda, what are all the programming languages you are currently learning, and what do you suggest people start with if they want to start down this path?
Okay, so this year, starting with ninth graders this year, everyone has to have a computer science credit to graduate. So we have an intro class that uses a drag and drop language called Scratch, where the kids can make movies, we've made art, we make games, and it's like putting puzzle pieces together on the screen. They actually click together.
Oh.
And we even learn harder concepts in programming. Like yesterday we did procedures and we pass arguments to the procedures. So we may be using a simple language. The kids really like it. They're very creative. I have kids, some of them will do the basic, but some of them go above and beyond. And like one girl created a world where a person walked across the world, and when they would stop at a country, it would give topics, places to see, things to do in that country. And the graphics were amazing.
Wow.
Just from this little intro. So the kids get really excited. I also teach a AP class that's on the same level. It's an intro class, and it also uses a drag and drop coding application or language called App Inventor, and the kids actually create apps on their phone. And that's the one Sabian turned in for Congressional App Challenge. The next one I teach is Programming Year 2. That's the one we're going to learn the language Python in, which is fairly new to me, so I have to learn it too. And then the last one I teach is AP Computer Science A, and that's straight up Java. It's very fast paced. The incentive for that is if the kids pass the AP exam at the end of the school year, they get a check written out to them from the State Department of Ed. It's not a scholarship, it's a straight up check. So if they pass with a 5, they get $1,000.
What?
If they pass with a 4, they get $750, and if they pass with a 3, they get $250. Wow. The school also is awarded money based on students passing, and so I use that as an incentive to promote computer science.
Wow, that is awesome. I didn't know about the checks. That's awesome.
Yep.
What are the current paths you're seeing students take with whenever they leave your computer science program?
Most that are interested in computer science go to a 4-year college. Some go to a 2-year. You can get a 2-year associate's degree and get a job programming. But yeah, the 4-year degree, you can get out of college with a 4-year degree in computer science and do very well. If you want to go on and get your master's or your doctorates, you can do even better. Yes. But yeah, most of them go on to college because most companies are going to want you to have some kind of degree. There are some kids that are self-taught, but you're still going to need to have something to get into a big company.
Right. Are there any success stories that you've seen from students taking your class?
Yes. Last year I had a student go to Washington University on a full scholarship.
Wow.
To study computer science. I have a female student that works for the FBI. She takes down terrorist websites.
Oh, that's cool.
I have a student that works for Dynetics in Alabama, and they're like a defense contract. They're NASA's biggest contract worker. So they do a lot of things with space and rovers and lasers. So I have a student that works for that. I also have a student that, he's so sweet, he emails me every fall, and he works for Microsoft in Dallas. And then I have a local programmer that works in Jonesboro, and he works for it's a utilities billing company. And he gets to work from home, and it's just a great career. And I am amazed at all these students that I have taught that go on that are very successful in computer science.
That's awesome. That means you're doing a good job from what I'm seeing.
I love it.
Sabian, what are some of the suggestions that you would give to someone wanting to take computer science?
Some suggestions I would give is, even if you don't want to take computer science, I think that it's good to have some kind of foundation rather than just, especially my class, who's just required to take like our computer lab classes in elementary school and then maybe a keyboarding class. I feel like it's definitely important to get a more solid foundation in computer sciences because it's different from any class that you'll ever take. There's curriculums for every other class where you have to learn specific things, but computer science is always expanding, so I feel like it's definitely a class that everybody should take at least once in their lives. And really dedicate yourself to it. Don't just do the bare minimum. Really try to learn something.
That's good. That's good. Now, I saw your app video, your submission, and that was pretty cool. Explain to everyone listening what your app does.
Yes, so my app is it's about college specifically because I am going to be a college student next year, and everything came at me very fast because I wasn't really familiar with the college process. As I have no older siblings, I am the oldest, and I'm going to be the first one in many, many years of my parents that are going to college. So I really was a little bit unfamiliar about the whole process, and it's very overwhelming. There are so many elements that go into it, and still now in January, I am still having to do many, many things to get into college. So I thought that if there was an app out there somewhere where it gave you some kind of checklist of all the things that you had to do, that it would be a lot easier to navigate. So in my app, there are a number of different elements that tell you things that you should accomplish before and while you're getting ready to go to college, such as completing your FAFSA, completing the CSS profile, creating an Amazon wish list, and completing all different kinds of things for your application process.
That is awesome. Yeah, I am too a first-generation student, and I wish I would have had that back in the day because neither one of my parents went to college, and my grandparents didn't go to college, so I didn't really have anyone to tell me what to do. I had to figure it out all on my own.
Yeah.
And back then, we didn't really have apps. I mean, we had the iPhone had just started coming out back when I was in high school. So it's kind of crazy the way technology has progressed since then. Brenda, what about the other apps that placed at the Congressional App Challenge?
There was another team of students, Kaya Britt and Lydia Payne. They created a app that helps students in their core classes for like math or science, and it would redirect those students based on their questions to websites that would help them with the subject. And they placed second in the Congressional App Challenge.
Wow, that's awesome. You had the top two.
Top two
in the
from
state.
Bryant High School.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. Y'all have any other things you'd like to say about computer science?
I mean, just take computer science seriously. Even like I said, if you're not interested, just give it a chance. I mean, it's only a year class, and you can learn a lot from it. So I definitely say just give it a chance.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. And we'll have our next podcast people up next. I believe it's going to be Miss Lindsey Forga and Leah Lile with Internship.
Hello, job seekers. Looking to get more from your work? How about more flexibility, or free training, or simply the chance to make a big difference every day? Sound good? Kelly Education is hiring substitute teachers and paraprofessionals for Bryant Public Schools. Find out how to get started by calling 1-800-528-0049 option 2. That's 1-800-528-0049 option 2. Call today. Kelly is an equal opportunity employer.
In our next segment of the Hornet Hour podcast, we talk with Bryant High School's internship coordinators, Lindsey Forga and Leah Lile. Lindsey and Leah have been at Bryant High School for 9 years. They started together here at the high school. Ladies, thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
Sweet. I like to start out with everyone that I bring onto the podcast is giving me a 30-second elevator pitch about each one of you. Who wants to go first? Leah?
Okay, Leah can. So started out here at Bryant after graduating from Fayetteville with a business education degree. I grew up in Sling County, so knew that I wanted to pursue employment here in the best area for high schools in our state, and found a home in the business department. So spent a couple years just teaching regular classes, and the internship program developed, and I wanted to join in with Lindsey.
Lindsey?
Okay, so I am actually what you call a non-traditional teacher. I had a career in HR before deciding to make a change and pursue teaching. So my degrees are in business. I've got a BBA and an MBA from Henderson, and so I pursued a non-traditional license. And I'm actually an alum of Bryant. I graduated from here and was really excited to get to come back and kind of to become a Hornet again and teach here. And I've really enjoyed it. The internship, that opportunity to teach that program was really exciting for me because I felt it kind of blended in my former career with my new career. So that was exciting to get to jump on board with that. And now almost 6-7 years later, it's still going strong. So.
Yes, that's awesome. And excuse the nice little tardy bell. We're at the high school recording the podcast today. The internship has, seen a lot of success over the past couple of years since y'all started it, I guess. Tell me about the internship and how it got started.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the internship program is a program here on campus for our seniors, and there are some qualifications. You've got to have a 2.0 and 19 credits completed at the end of your junior year, which basically means the student's on track to graduate. And the idea came from just after some district leaders kind of sitting around the table, realizing that students were getting to their senior year and only needed a few credits to graduate. Mm-hmm. And then they were spending the rest of their school day in various classes that they may or may not have truly been interested in, but they needed to fill up a schedule. And also around the same time, getting feedback from the community, parents, students. There was a need for more opportunities to gain relevant experience while in high school. And so kind of merging those two kind of revelations, I guess, the internship program was born. So students can be off campus up to 3 class periods a day, either working or interning. Some of them do volunteer on a consistent basis. But basically the idea was just to allow students not on campus in a traditional course, but still in a position to learn some job skills, some professional skills, gain some experience, either working or interning.
That's awesome. And, with that, the students are still getting all their credits, and they are even with the internship program and being out for 3 classes, they will graduate on time?
Yeah, so our program is tailored to the school and our students' needs. They can do up 1, 2, or 3 periods a day, and that is for a local credit. And so everything that we're doing within our internship program is specific to us. And the students are still receiving, up to 3, hopefully A's, on their transcript, and which is helpful to some of them. And with the requirements, that 2.0 and that 19 credit, they also have to have their own transportation to get to or from their job or internship. So that's one other requirement needed.
That's good. Do you accept every student that applies, or do you have limits? And is there like a class size limit as well?
So again, those GPA and credit qualifications that we mentioned in the transportation, we've never set just a solid limit on the program as far as the number of students. Obviously, we want it to be something that Leah and I can still manage and still have fidelity in the program and be able to have enough opportunity to meet with these students and meet their needs and still have a good solid program, because while at the same time we also teach other courses as well. So no set number, we just like to keep it something manageable, so that students are still benefiting from it and still have the support that they need from us as teachers.
And there's a lot of moving parts to that too. So we do have students in all areas that are a part of the program, whether they are in athletics or AP students, or we've had some students that work in the transportation department on campus that may have special needs. So we do look at all aspects of our campus as far as student body, but it's helpful to know that they're interested in it for the right reason. So whether they have the need to earn an income for their family, they're wanting that experience in that career field, maybe both in the same, the student should show interest in wanting to gain something from internship rather than just get off campus a couple of hours early.
Right. So do you guys help students with who they really don't know what field they want to go into? What kind of opportunities do you present for them when they don't know what they want to do? Do we take I guess back in the day I took the Cooter test, I guess is what it was called. Okay. And that kind of showed me what my pathways, and
we do it in a variety of ways. So we of course can't know if it's a third of our senior class. We don't personally know all of these students. So we try our best to meet individually with each student that has interest in signing up for the class in the spring. That initial meeting is very quick, but it gives us an insight whether they are interested in pursuing employment or an internship or possibly both. And they say, oh, well, I'm interested in the medical field, but I'm not necessarily sure what that means, or I'm interested in welding, or I'm interested in small business, having my own business, or I have my own business and this is what I do in the summer. I'm looking to expand it, further. So we kind of just gain that initial interest and we work from there to point them in different directions. It's been helpful with it being is it the 8th year?
Yeah, I think I'm going to say 7th maybe.
Okay.
Or wait, 7th year.
We've kind of been able to gain those partnerships to point them, but also understand okay, well, we know that you want to be a doctor. I'm not necessarily sure you can intern specifically with a doctor, but we've got these types of avenues that we can investigate.
And students coming into it, again, they have the option to either work a job or intern in a field, and both, are very beneficial. And a lot of them know going into it, I'm planning to use a job, I've got a job now, I'm just going to stick with it. Or if they don't have the job yet, they don't have to necessarily have the job secured until school starts. But we may send a list of businesses we know who are hiring, or if they need resume help or something like that. And then the students who are, want to spend the time truly interning and exploring a career, hopefully a lot of them kind of have an idea of what they're interested in. With all of our CTE programs that we have, In our fairly recent kind of career house model that we've implemented, kind of the idea is in their younger grades leading up to their senior year, they lock into a couple of CTE programs that we have here, and we offer so many, and then they pursue that, take a few courses in that area, and then by the time they get to their senior year, if they want to further pursue it, potentially, work in that field or intern in that field. So kind of big picture, we would love to see students really kind of start thinking about this 9th, 10th grade year.
Mm-hmm. Are there any gaps that you're seeing that you have students interested in the field, but you're not really getting employers to allow them to be interns?
A lot of times, the trade industries, sometimes welding,
mechanical, working on auto. It's interesting because there's a need for the employers to have employees, but a lot of them are limited on the liability factor. So they want the student to at least be 18 or to have some type of certification coming into that role for their liability purposes.
And we're hoping maybe fields like that with the New Career Center and partnering with them, maybe that'll open up some new doors as time goes on. But yeah, a lot of time it's just the liability. They want them to be 18 or over, and most of our seniors don't turn 18 till mid to latter part of their senior year.
Or if it's a very specialized request. So we've had students say, I want to be a marine biologist, and they're,
Yeah, those are far and few between here.
Right. And we live in a landlocked state. So
but we help students kind of think outside the box, a little bit. So maybe you want to pursue science, well, let's go a different route.
Yeah,
honestly.
let's get this. So we had a student with marine biology, and she volunteered at the Humane Society. So definitely placed her in something to get experience, within the animal fields, but and a good overall resume builder as well.
That's awesome. What do organizations have to do to become a part of your internship program or get on your list? Are there any requirements to be a part of this?
Okay. And we are always looking to add more. So if anybody listening is interested, definitely reach out to us. But really, no requirements. A big question that always comes up from new businesses is, does this have to be paid, a paid or unpaid internship? And that is completely up to the business. We have had some do paid internships, which we tell students most internships are going to be unpaid. You're working for free. We've had some situations where it maybe started unpaid and became a paid opportunity, but that is completely up to the business. Typically, most students, and it can vary depending on how many class periods they have, but most students need to get 10 hours a week. And if that is possible with the business and their needs, that would be something we would kind of talk about up front is do you have, would you be able to provide that student with at least 10 hours a week? And a lot of times they just ask, well, what exactly do you want the student to learn? And because we're such a broad program and we have everybody ranging from, being in one of our elementary schools to at Saline Memorial Hospital, there aren't specific guidelines we're going to put out there. Biggest thing is just we want students to try to be exposed to as much as possible in the real world of it. Working in a law field or law firm rather, is not like Law and Order. Getting to see the real nitty gritty of what a career is, kind of day in and day out. Because sometimes the students kind of have one thing in mind and they see what people actually do from day to day, and it's kind of eye opening. But anything.
No, and I think some businesses come back and say, well, what are you expecting of me? What are my requirements? And then we don't ever want to burden the business. So we have the student or the supervisor of the student complete an evaluation form once a semester, and then we try to regularly touch base as much as we can without being a nuisance to anybody's email inbox. But a lot of times the internship, unless it's a formal where there's a business that already has, an intern placement there, it's something that builds on itself. And so we love it whenever the first few weeks the students taking out the trash, filing some papers, and then they build in responsibilities and duties within that student based on, where it takes them. And so I think that's been a really cool process to see the business take advantage of the talent that the student may have, like on social media, or teaching them how to do a copy machine. Or
Yeah.
Yes.
and so it's been cool, and the businesses have really seen a opportunity arise to take advantage of having that fresh, point of view.
And I think a lot of organizations are accustomed maybe to taking on college interns, but sometimes they're hesitant to take on high school interns. But we just got some really, really talented students that end up doing really well. And, I think you could talk to several of our businesses that we partnered with over the years, and they have some really, really great things to say. And if you are interested, we have the first thing we would do would send a business, like a business needs form, which basically would create kind of like a job description that we would then kind of analyze, and as we meet our new students coming into the program, kind of vet out students that we feel might fit that area. And then we also, if you participate, we have an MOU, a memo. Memorandum of
Understanding.
Yes, there it is. That you'd sign. But just a couple forms there. But yeah.
So speaking of to all that, what is some of your great success stories with this program?
Yeah, so we've had several. We were brainstorming more about this, and it's kind of fun to reflect on our students, especially the ones that really just kind of stepped out of their comfort zone and found something that they really loved. So we've had a student or specifically it was a coworker's daughter, and she was looking for some part-time work, and she ended up interning at an unpaid internship at the prosecuting attorney's office in Saline County, and that turned into a paid opportunity for her because of her work and her work ethic. And then she decided that law was something that she was interested in pursuing for a career, and so that just taken a couple of steps outside of her box and wanting to experience something new. She met so many people through judges, lawyers, law clerks, criminals. So it was just a really great experience for her senior year. Lindsey, do you want to talk about one?
Yeah, and that student she mentioned is actually pursuing law in college now. So,
wow.
And we have a student who graduated last year who went through. She was part of our internship group at Sabian Memorial, and one thing they do there is they rotate through multiple departments within the hospital, from administrative departments, to actual, departments where they get face-to-face interaction with patients, so they get to kind of see a little bit of everything. And we had a student there. Her ultimate goal is to become a nurse, but she did so well in her rotation through the pharmacy there that upon graduation, she was hired on as a pharmacy tech there, and to our knowledge is still there right now, kind of working there as she pursues a nursing degree. So that directly came from her experience and how well she did at the internship there. So just a couple of examples.
Yeah, and I want to highlight one more because this particular business has been so great to us. Carson Physical Therapy has hosted interns since we started the program. He did have a location here on campus, but he's hosted up to 6 within 1 year of students that are interested in physical therapy, which really ironically, this year is the first year a student hasn't pursued physical therapy, but that has been one of those really popular career fields, which it's been awesome because we've had students that have stayed with him and worked there part-time during the summer, and continued to come back for, while they were in college and work. But we've also had students that thought they wanted to be a physical therapy or physical therapist and decided that was not what they wanted. And specifically one young man, he came to me and he said, I realized why I don't like it. And I was trying to, say, well, what's wrong? And he said, I love the medical aspect, but I hate that I can't just do a quick fix. Like, he hated that the physical therapy was going to take weeks and maybe months to do this, helping the patient. He said, I know that I want to be a doctor because I want to be able to go in and fix it immediately for the person. And so it was an interesting perspective, and things don't really work out that way a lot of times in life, but
right.
He stuck with it for this semester. He gained some knowledge, some people skills, those bedside manners. And then he moved on and did something else spring semester. So, those things are, those experiences, the ones that say, oh, well, this is going to take my path differently, are just as important as the ones that are like, oh, this is what I want to do for sure.
Right.
Well, and the few examples we've talked about have been internships, but we have students in jobs. It may not be a career path they're wanting to follow, but they are working a lot of hours now. And I know we had an early grad last semester who worked, I believe it was Popeyes, and he was a shift manager essentially. We have
I think he was like number 2.
We have students in a lot of situations where they are the leaders on their job. They are leading other students or peers. And working a lot of hours. So we've got some good successful stories, from students working jobs as well. So really, it's just no matter what route a student chooses to go, it is just invaluable, the experience they're getting.
Wow. You guys are doing some wonderful things with this program. This is exciting to hear about, and hopefully everyone else will join in and become part of give some more opportunities to our students around here. Hoping a couple businesses listening to this podcast will shout out and reach out to you guys.
Yeah.
And thank you to those who already do, those that take on interns and those that are open and willing to hire, teenage employees. So
yes, because that I know just teaching them alone is a lot of work, and then hiring them is giving them real life experience.
And we get some interesting emails from our supervisors or phone calls, and we're always willing to help. Like if there is a situation where the student has just seemed to drop off, we're here to kind of touch base with that student and see if anything's going on. Or, hey, they did this the other day at the job. Can y'all discuss this a little bit further with them on a better way to manage that experience or, situation? So it's fun. Every day's
and even
different.
if it's not always a success story, just had one today come in and talk to me about getting let go from their job. So we talk them through that, and then also if a student's wanting to leave a job or change jobs, kind of walking them through the proper way to leave a job on good terms and start a new one. So, it's not always rainbows and butterflies.
No, it's not.
But, just imagine, being able to experience this and learn how to work through these issues now as 17, 18-year-olds versus having to wait and kind of go through them and learn how to handle them when, things are just a little bit more serious and you're out there in the real world.
More to lose.
And everything.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, guys, thank you so much for doing this today. Y'all have been great. I hope to have y'all on here again, maybe season 2, maybe season 3, if we get that far in the podcast.
We'll bring some students next time, so you don't have to listen to us talk.
We would love that. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.